She sent her last text at 11:47 p.m. "I am almost home," but she never stepped onto her porch, never turned the key, never crossed the final few feet that should have been the safest. The street was quiet, security lights glowing, nothing suspicious in sight. And yet she vanished as if swallowed by the dark itself. Police found her phone buzzing with unread messages, her location frozen in the middle of the sidewalk. Only 30 steps from her home, neighbors heard a soft thud, like something falling, followed by a brief metallic scrape, but no one opened their curtains to look within hours. Her disappearance would become the most chilling unsolved case the small town had ever faced. And behind those last few steps lay a truth darker than anyone could imagine. The night air carried the faint smell of rain. And the street lamps flickered as she walked the final stretch toward home. Her backpack bounced lightly against her shoulder. Her footsteps relaxed, but quick. She checked her phone to read her mother's message asking how far she was. She typed back, "2 minutes, almost there," and slipped the phone into her pocket. A car rolled slowly down the street behind her, maintaining just enough distance to seem harmless. She glanced back once, felt a small unease, but kept walking. The car's headlights dimmed suddenly as if the driver intentionally lowered them. She pulled her jacket tighter and moved to the right side of the sidewalk. A dog barked sharply from a yard, startling her for a second. She forced a small laugh and whispered, "I'm fine," under her breath. Her house came into view, the warm yellow porch light glowing like a promise. She exhaled in relief and quickened her pace. The sound of the slow-moving car returned behind her, its tires crunching lightly on the pavement. She stopped, pretending to adjust her shoe, waiting for the car to pass. But the car didn't pass, it stopped completely. She felt a cold shiver run up her arms and stood frozen, listening. A male voice spoke quietly from inside the car, though she couldn't make out the words. She backed away just a step, heart thudding faster. A door creaked open, followed by the soft click of something metallic. She spun toward the nearest yard, hoping someone was awake. Motion sensor lights suddenly brightened the driveway beside her. The brightness gave her a moment of hope. She reached for her phone to call home. Her fingers trembled so badly she nearly dropped it. Before she could press the call icon, a shadow moved quickly toward her. She gasped and stumbled backward, her phone slipping from her hand onto the concrete. The shadow grabbed her by the arm with a grip far stronger than she expected. She tried to scream, but a gloved hand covered her mouth instantly. Her backpack slid off her shoulder and hit the ground with a dull, heartbreaking thud. The porch light from her house glowed only a few houses away, painfully close. She kicked her feet wildly, trying to break free. The shadow dragged her toward the open car door with terrifying determination. A neighbor's curtain shifted as someone peeked out. For a split second, she locked eyes with them. The neighbor froze. Unsure whether it was real danger or just a late-night argument, the shadow shoved her into the back seat before the neighbor could react. The car door slammed shut, muffling her desperate cries. The engine roared quietly, and the vehicle pulled away with controlled speed. Her phone buzzed on the sidewalk with another message from her mother asking if she had reached the door yet. The street returned to silence within seconds. The motion sensor lights timed out and faded, leaving the sidewalk in darkness again. Only the faint sound of the car disappearing down the road remained. A gentle breeze brushed against the fallen backpack, as if trying to lift it, but it stayed still like the beginning of a nightmare unfolding. The rain-soaked street glistened under the flickering street light as her last known location was marked with yellow tape. Detectives stepped carefully, studying the pavement as though it whispered secrets they could not yet understand. Her phone signal had died only 30 seconds after the last text, abruptly silenced in a place she never planned to stop. The officers exchanged looks that suggested something more than a simple disappearance. A neighbor across the street peeked from behind her curtains. Hesitant but curious, the detective knocked gently, and the woman opened the door with trembling hands. She recalled hearing a soft thud outside around the same time, not loud enough to alarm her, but unusual in such still weather. Her voice cracked when she admitted she assumed it was just a stray animal knocking over a bean. The detectives followed her shaky gesture toward the side yard, where damp footprints led 3 steps then vanished entirely. The prints were too narrow to belong to any adult man nearby. Forensic lights washed the yard in ghostly blue hues. While the team studied the abrupt ending of the tracks, it felt like she had walked into thin air or been lifted from the ground altogether. A passing car's dashcam footage was collected from a driver who unknowingly captured a shadow, moving behind her only seconds before she vanished. When slowed down, the silhouette appeared to turn its head toward the camera, then slip behind her as she walked. Detectives froze the frame, zooming into the dark blur that seemed oddly misshapen. Something about its posture felt unnatural. As though the figure wasn't walking but gliding, a search dog was brought in, sniffing urgently at the torn patch of grass near the fence. The animal growled low, backing away as if sensing something threatening. Officers exchanged glances, unsettled by the dog's sudden fear. They marked the spot with cones and widened the search radius. Her mother arrived at the scene, collapsing into the detective's arms as she begged for answers. Every officer avoided meeting her eyes, knowing they still had none to give. The night deepened as investigators combed the area with drones equipped with heat sensors. Every screen remained cold and empty, showing nothing but rain and asphalt. The only thing found was her kikana, a tiny silver star lying in the middle of the road without a single scratch. It was placed too gently to have fallen by accident. The police set up a command post near the street light, where they analyzed timelines and maps. Strings and notes stretched across whiteboards, forming a web of unanswered questions. Detective Rowan replayed her last audio message. A voice note never sent a faint gasp followed by hurried footsteps. The final sound was a whispered "no, please," before silence took over. The tech team enhanced the audio, isolating a second set of footsteps trailing behind her. These steps were heavier, deliberate, and much too close. Officers canvassed houses equipped with security cameras, hoping for a clearer angle of the unknown shadow. One resident hesitated before admitting she had footage but didn't like watching it. When detectives viewed the clip, their faces stiffened. A tall, crooked figure lingered half-hidden behind a tree as the girl walked past. The figure's head tilted unnaturally, tracking her movement as though studying her. The moment she passed the tree, the figure stepped out with a smoothness that chilled the room. Detective Rowan paused the video, zooming into the shadow's face, only to find blurred features as if the camera refused to focus on it. Even the resident shivered, saying she deleted earlier footage because the figure had appeared there before too. The pattern suggested the girl had been watched for days without realizing. Officers reviewed previous neighborhood reports and discovered 2 other residents had noticed a tall man wandering late at night. The descriptions didn't match any local vagrants or known suspects. Every sketch artist failed to create a consistent face because witnesses remembered the figure differently. One sketch showed hollow eyes, another a sharp jawline, and another a featureless blank. It was as if each person saw a different version of the same presence. Detectives studied old missing person cases and found unsettling similarities: late-night walks, sudden signal drops, and the same unexplained footprints. The cases were months apart, but disturbingly connected. They formed a furious stalker or abductor. adapting patterns over time, but something still felt off. No human moved the way that shadow did on video. A local man stepped forward, claiming he heard a girl calling for help from the wooded area behind the street the following night. Officers responded immediately, combing the forest for 2 hours. Only a single hair tie was found, caught on a thorn bush. Her mother confirmed it belonged to her. Rain hammered the leaves as officers pushed deeper into the dark forest. Strange echoes bounced between the trees, rustling with no wind to blame. Detective Rowan halted the team when he spotted fresh mud on a rock, shaped like a handprint too long and too thin to be normal. He photographed it, but none of the officers wanted to stand near it for long. Even the forest air felt wrong, heavy, and expectant, as though holding its breath. At dawn, a search volunteer spotted something bright lodged between two fallen branches. The team rushed over, gasping softly at the sight. It was the girl's shoe, clean, dry, and placed neatly rather than dropped. No footprints surrounded it. Detective Rowan crouched, studying the placement with a shiver crawling up his spine. Whoever put it there wanted it to be found. Nearby leaves rustled, though no breeze passed through. Officers scanned the area, but saw nothing but tall trees standing silent like watchers. A drone's camera picked up heat signatures deeper in the woods, a single warm shape standing still. The team hurried toward it with raised flashlights. When they arrived, the spot was empty except for a damp hoodie draped over a tree branch. The hoodie was hers. Every clue appeared deliberately positioned, as though marking a trail. Yet the trail led nowhere, looping back to the same clearing. Detective Rowan realized the placement timing was too precise. Someone was moving items behind them, unseen but close. Officers held their breath as the woods grew eerily quiet, the kind of silence heavy enough to press against their ears. Even wildlife seemed to avoid the area. A volunteer screamed when she stumbled over something half buried under leaves. The team pulled back the foliage, expecting the worst. Instead, they uncovered her backpack perfectly intact, zipped and clean, as if placed there minutes ago. Rain hadn't touched it despite the storm the night before. Detective Rowan opened it carefully. Inside were her belongings, arranged too neatly to be natural. Her notebook lay on top, but a page was missing, ripped cleanly. Her mother confirmed she never tore pages out. Officers widened the perimeter, sensing they were being watched. The hair on every neck stood upright as subtle movement flickered in their peripheral vision. A shadow darted between trees and vanished before anyone could shout. The search team huddled closer, fear prickling their skin. The team's radios crackled with static before a faint voice whispered something unintelligible. The sound matched the girl's tone. Detective Rowan called her name through the dark forest, but only echoes answered. Each echo came back slightly delayed, as though someone else was repeating him. Officers retreated when the forest grew impossibly dim, as if the sunlight itself refused to enter that area. The backpack was taken in as evidence, leaving the woods behind in tense silence. Despite extensive searches, no trace of her physical presence was ever found again. Only the carefully placed clues remained taunting, deliberate, and unsolved. The rain slowed, but the house stayed silent, as if holding its breath with the officers. Her mother clutched the last text again, whispering her daughter's name like a prayer. The detective stepped outside, staring down the empty street where she should have walked. He felt the weight of every unanswered question pressing on his chest. Neighbors peeked from behind curtains, shaken by the sirens and the fear that settled over the block. No one dared ask what the officers found because the silence already felt like an answer. Her phone buzzed with missed calls and messages that would never be read. Each alert sounded like a reminder of a life paused in the middle of a moment. Police taped off the area, the yellow ribbon fluttering like a warning no one wanted to see. Even the wind seemed to whisper that something had gone terribly wrong. Her mother collapsed into a chair, hands trembling, unable to understand how a simple walk home turned into a nightmare. The detective watched her. Feeling the weight of a promise he knew he might not keep, they replayed every camera, every route, every shadow she might have passed, but each frame ended the same way without her. The streetlights flickered on as the sky darkened, casting long shadows across the pavement where she should have walked. The emptiness felt personal. Like the world had misplaced someone it wasn't supposed to lose. Her bag was found hours later, placed carefully beside a fence. Untouched and wrong, it looked as if someone had set it there intentionally. As if taunting the search teams. The detective lifted the bag slowly, knowing it didn't hold the answer he needed. He whispered a quiet promise to the missing girl, hoping the night wind carried it somewhere she could hear. Her mother stared at the front door, waiting for footsteps that never came. Every passing minute felt like a door closing on hope. The case grew colder as the darkness grew deeper, but her name remained on every officer's mind. Because no one simply disappears between one text and one doorstep. And somewhere in that silence, the truth waited dark, heavy, and still hidden. If you want more true crime stories like this, make sure to subscribe and tap the bell icon. Because the next mystery drops soon.